much. You want a little bit of that black to shine through.
All right, well, we're here today with Michael McMaster, and Michael, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. I know you're busy, you're right in the midst of this project, and so I really appreciate that. But give us an idea of where am I at right now, because this is obviously, it's not an industrial complex, it's not a movie special effects stage. Can you tell us a little bit about where we're at?
Right, we're sitting on the family's 90-acre citrus farm. My grandparents purchased the property in 1919, and we do still farm full-time and do a lot of the robots and the set pieces in between as a hobby.
So it's a bit of a contrast with the farming and then obviously advanced robotics.
Yeah, they're polar opposites, but it keeps things interesting.
You can step away from one to do the other if you want. So
exactly, yeah. Being my own boss, I at least have the flexibility to work on these side projects as they come about.
Excellent. I want to kind of explain a little bit about going back a little ways and how we're sort of here today, and talk about one of the earlier projects that we had talked about and you were originally working with BJB on, and that was the WALL-E project, right? And
right.
Can you tell us a little bit about the whole WALL-E project?
Right. It started actually prior to the movie coming out in 2008. We saw this the preview for WALL-E, and as a joke, I was a member of the R2 Builders Club, and we joked that we should build a WALL-E. And next thing you know, Scott Washburn, one of the builders, formed this club, and we had a WALL-E Builders Club. So needless to say, we spent several years working, building the WALL-E. It took about 5-6 years of work, and we now have a 1-to-1 scale remote-controlled WALL-E.
I love the fact that you do the motions, the puppeteering along with the sounds, just as he would probably do it, right?
Right. Yeah. That was one of the key things, was trying to make the head movement accurate, so that when he interacts with people, it's a little bit more realistic. And his eyebrows pop out, and of course his arm raises and lowers. Eventually, we'd like to add features like moving fingertips and things like that.
And so this is just static hands for right now.
Right. Yeah, he's still a work in progress.
Sure. I mean, you've already got so much on it, and you can add, as other projects free up, you can come back and add 1 or 2 more interesting details to it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's kind of like Disneyland. It's never really done.
That's right.
I mean, always something new to add to it.
And you were telling me earlier about one of people's favorite sounds from this robot is...
They always kind of expect it to have the music. In the movie, when you press the play button, there's music.
Okay.
So that was something that we had to ask. So if you press the play button...
All right, here we go.
Put on your Sunday clothes, we're gonna ride through town in one of those new horse-drawn open cars. We'll see the shows and Delmonico's, and we'll close the town in a whirl, and we won't come home until we kiss the girl.
It's kind of a show-off.
What were some of the challenges that you needed for that track, and why you went one route versus, say, another route that you might traditionally go?
Yeah, well, we wanted it to work mechanically, but still look identical to the way you see it in the film. And one of those elements were the actual treads themselves, and we knew they had to be rubber, and we knew that we were going to have to pour them ourselves, make copies ourselves. And so fortunately, BJB was very helpful in getting us the right materials, the right densities. We needed something that was going to be durable but not have too much grip, because it's a track-driven machine. We knew that we might be on carpet, things like that, so we didn't want to destroy the machine or whatever surface we were driving on. And through extensive discussions with you folks, we were able to find the materials that worked the best. And the same thing with the wheels. We didn't have the tooling to make a metal drive wheel, and so I made on the lathe, made some out of wood. We made copies of those, made molds, and then once again, you folks helped us find a urethane, a 2-part urethane that was really durable, and it still has the same wheels on it today as when we first started testing it. So that's a testament to the product. I mean,
and Wally's not torn up any carpets anywhere.
Hasn't torn any carpets. He has just enough slip that he can get around on those surfaces. And there's very little wear on the treads. I mean, we're just ecstatic with the way the thing is operated. I spent almost 2 years working on the track drive alone, trying to figure out, because I figured if I couldn't drive it, I didn't want one. And so once we got all that worked out and we actually had a working set of tracks, then we finished that off. So then we had a Wally. And then it just evolved from there. I wound up doing some work for Lucasfilm. They had an R2-D2 that was not in the movies, but it was used specifically for public relations and marketing. And so I started maintaining that, and through that I got the job of building Chopper, which Disney and Lucasfilm used to promote the animated series Rebels.
That's a great gig.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's just, you know, I have to pinch myself sometimes. You know, my 11-year-old self would not believe, you know, that someday I'd be playing with droids on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So let's move on to the current project. This project is huge. Huge.
It really is.
And when I first heard about it, I didn't quite understand the scale of it until you told me the dimensions, and I thought it was the whole thing, and you said, no, that's one track. So tell us a little bit about the project that you've got going on now.
We're building a 1-to-1 scale sandcrawler tread section, and it will be a photo op, which will be at Star Wars Celebration 7 in Anaheim. In years past, the R2 builders have made sets, photo ops, that are iconic scenes with R2 and 3PO. So we've done the Tantive 4 corridor and Jabba's palace door and the Hoth tunnel, and so fans can come and be in a movie scene from one of the Star Wars films. So this time around we were trying to find something new and different to do, and someone on the builders board suggested building a sandcrawler as a joke. And I kind of laughed and I said, well, you know, a person could build part of the tread, and it was originally going to be just a little piece of it, you know, because we did want to make it 1-to-1 scale. I talked to Lucasfilm. They sent me plans and photos, all this information, and I realized after looking at the way they built the original one that, yeah, we could probably build a single tread section. And over the next 6-7 months, that evolved, and we got to the point where we had to make some very large parts. And we knew the parts would have to be cast, and it was what kind of material do we use, what's most cost effective. So once again, I hit up BJB. I said, look, I spoke with you directly. I said, look, I need to make these parts. What can I make them out of? What do you suggest? You gave me some recommendations, and then you were able to provide us with some new materials, and we took off. And I used one of our close friends, Gordon Tarpley, who's a brilliant artist, volunteered to make all these parts, and by the end of it, I think maybe he regretted ever.
Yeah, it's a big task.
It was a monumental task. I mean, we didn't do the tracks all the way around. We've done the across the ground and all the way up to a certain point, up to the 12-foot mark, and then we've called that enough. But we have 33 treads running around this, and the treads are enormous. The tread braces, which we're going to take a look at, we used 75D, and then, you know, expanding foam inside, and those things are just beautiful. I mean, I'm just ecstatic with the way they came out. So we're working on the main structure here. This is the last piece of the puzzle, the curved piece, and you can see one of the foam rings already mounted and glued to the part. We cut these rings out of regular old foam. We realized we needed a hard surface because I can push on that and just destroy it. I mean, it's so soft. So we put the TC824 on here. We did a light brushing on the whole thing, and then we went back and sanded. And I do have a few areas where we left it, where we brushed it on and we left some of the streaking. This is just going to be weathering on the part. But what I appreciate about it, nice hard surface. So we've got a hard surface. It weighs absolutely nothing, and it was easy to make, relatively inexpensive to make. The other nice thing about this material is that it's sandable. When I brushed this on, there were still some brush marks on it and some high and low spots, but I just hit that with a palm sander and just smoothed it right down. It's very machinable, that material, and And of course it's paintable, and it's just fantastic for our application. If you need to make a lightweight part, or if you want to make a prototype or anything else out of styrene and then just cover it, this is a good material for that. One of the molded pieces here, and basically I made the original part master. We made a 2-part fiberglass mold, and just laid up the 75D, just painted it inside, let it set up, and then we hit it with the expanding foam, 2.5 pound expanding foam, and a couple places we were trying to do these fast, and so you have some areas, and we didn't need a perfectly flat bottom, and we were trying to save on material. So we just put in how much we thought would fill it, and it either filled it or not. If it went a little bit over, we had to slice it back down, smooth it up. But the parts are extremely lightweight. They picked up all the detail. They're really sturdy. Sturdy, but they don't weigh anything. And easy to paint. You know, we just clean off the mold release and primer them up, and the parts come out just fantastic. The one thing I would say is that we just, I cannot thank BJB Enterprises enough for their time, their patience, the materials, because without them, there's no way we could have completed this project. So we are forever grateful. And also the fact that we can call you and that you have folks that are experts in this that can answer my questions, because there were a lot of things, you know, I've done a lot of molding, but there were still so many questions that I had. And I could pick up the phone and talk to you at any point, and you could answer the questions and give me solutions. And that was probably the most beneficial aspect of all of this, working with you, is that you always had an answer, and the product worked. And
that's fantastic. Well, the next time that we're going to meet up is we'll be at the Star Wars celebration itself, and we'll get to see the whole project finally come together, see what it is, a finished product, and unveiled to the public, and see what all the hard work is about. And once again, really appreciate you taking the time out of the schedule. I know you've got some more parts to build and finish up.
Yeah, we're still painting as we speak. There's work in front of me. So
that's right. And so, no, we thank you for inviting us out to the Citrus Ranch here and the new Skywalker Ranch.
Skywalker South.
Skywalker South, exactly. And so we really appreciate it. So, and thanks for the feedback on the materials and continued loyalty and support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.